I'd love for this to be interactive. So we're going to be using Slido. Hopefully that will work. Fingers crossed. But equally, really keen. Stop me, ask questions. Would love to hear your thoughts, your comments throughout, please. So why diversity and inclusion? I think I'd be amazed if any of you, all of you, haven't come across at least one D&I network invite, whether it's Women in Rail, Women in Transport, some other in transport or rail conference or event focusing on this. Stats and conversations about this are growing all the time, which is brilliant to see. It's really, for me, being in this space for such a long time, I love hearing more and more conversations day to day about this. Most employers, including Network Rail, of course, and others have several networks you can belong to. Women in Rail's opened a huge amount of awareness, as has the EDI Charter started by the Railway Industry Association. But is that all this is? What does it really mean? Why should we care? So I'm hoping Slido will go on now. Please, someone say it will. So there should be a question coming up. So yeah, so what does it mean to you? Why is it important? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Give you a little bit of time. Excellent. 5 participants. Brilliant. So justice. Excellent. Love that. It is. Absolutely it is. It is. Equal opportunities. Yeah. Absolutely. What else? Fairness. Yeah. Removing barriers and accommodating. Yeah. Yeah. Be our best self. Understanding. Yeah. Enabling talent. Actually, all of you could do this presentation. I don't even need to be here, in fact, do I, really? I love these. They're brilliant. Diversity, more ideas, exactly doing things differently. I mean, so many of the conversations, the presentations today have talked about the challenges that you all face on a day-to-day basis, delivering the important work you do. Without diversity, without the diversity of thoughts, and I don't just mean whether you come from a different background, ethnicity, or gender, or disability, or any of the other diverse characteristics. This is about every single one of us and our backgrounds and the way in which we think, which will be different. So the more diverse we are, the better thought, the better ideas we'll come up with, better design, better construction, better ultimately for our passengers and our people and our colleagues. I love all of this. Thank you. I'm going to keep this. Absolutely going to keep this. Oh, 2 more typing. A few more. Accommodating, creativity. Yeah. Decisions, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So now I was hoping we might go straight into the video that I think Network Rail had produced or co-produced that sets out their expectation of what diversity and inclusion really means for them. If that could be played now, please. I don't think I can.
Just click to the next.
Do I just do that? Is that what it is? Oh.
I think it's about feeling that you really belong, no matter who you are, how you think, or who you love.
It's not just about having different people. It's about having different views, different opinions, and ways of working.
I think it's about recognising that everyone's got something to contribute.
It's not about saying everyone's welcome. It's about actually making the effort to welcome everyone.
I think it's about seeing our differences as strengths, not weaknesses.
Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. That's what it's about.
It's about really valuing everyone, not just saying it.
There's a proverb in Islam, you need a lot of flowers to make a bouquet. I think that sums it up.
Yeah, so obviously that's a really poignant video. I think it's important. For me, the key thing about that video is the fact that it's not just words. We can all say so many things, but it's the behaviour, day-to-day actions, listening, making an effort that makes a difference. So, but why should we actually care? I mean, many of you have already pointed out this in the Slido, but you know, we have an older workforce. We've known this for some time. It's getting more and more important every single day. We're facing critical loss of experience, and we'll continue to in the next 7 years. This is the source of this image on the left is the NSAR Annual Rail Workforce Survey in 2023. So it's fairly recent. I think it was in April that it was published, if I remember correctly. We remain a predominantly white workforce, 87.5%, compared to the national proportion of 81.7%. And we have a really big issue with the attractiveness of the industry. And there's a significant likelihood of skills gaps in the coming years. It's only going to get worse and worse. Now, I'm not suggesting that, see, in this image, we're focusing on women and ethnicity. Clearly, there are other characteristics of diversity as well. These are the ones that the NSAR have captured, and these are the ones that I think Network Rail have more easily reported on than the latest, I think it's P11 stats. I'll come back to that in a minute. But 16% of rail employees are women, compared to 13 in 2018. That's not a lot, really. It's beautiful to see so many women here, actually. It really is good to see. But that's not really, it's improvement, which is brilliant to see, but not nearly enough. Only 12% of rail employees are from ethnic minority backgrounds. Again, not great. It's getting better, but still not great. And then if we think about what this actually means for our economy, if we address the skills shortage in rail providers, it really would generate an opportunity of about 181 billion. That's a lot. So much good we can do with that. So much good for all of us, for our industry. So I'm just going to pause there. Any questions, comments, any other thoughts or reflections so far? The numbers are stark, yeah, absolutely. If I think about when I was a kid and I was thinking about what I wanted to be when I was a grown-up, rail didn't even cross my mind. Engineering didn't cross my mind, not once. And I get that so much of this has to do with your family. If you see people in your family being engineers or working in our industry, you're more likely to join it because you see a connection. You can see it's possible. But it was more than that, I think. It wasn't even something that was... It didn't even occur to me, which is a real shame because the work we do here is so important and so exciting, actually, genuinely exciting. I quite like ballast now. I'm going to get into ballast. I'm going to start reading about them. So thank you. So what does this mean for us? So these stats are taken from both the Everyone Matters D&I strategy and the race gender data from P11, so in 2022. So appreciate it's slightly out of date. That was the latest piece of data I could get hold of from Network Rail. But start of CP6, there were about 17.3% women and 82.7% men. At about 2022, so this data from P11, women are 18.8, and the target's meant to be 26 by 24. So in 2 years, we're meant to make a leap, quite a big leap. And given that we haven't quite made it, that's, again, quite stark, isn't it? So start recruiting women quick. Let's all run outside. No, I'm joking. Race, then, again, so BME colleagues, or BAME colleagues, I should say, at the start of CP6, 8.51%, as you can see. Unknown and prefer not to say, clearly 13.6 and 2.2, and then white 76.2. So there could be more BME colleagues. We don't know. People are entitled not to have to say if they don't want to share. But at the start of 2022, that had jumped to 9.44% for BAME colleagues. Again, not huge, not even a percent, but at least some progress. And white colleagues 81%. Now that could just simply be more people felt able and willing to share their ethnicity data. It may not actually be that we've got more white people. It's just I don't know. And then if you think about the target, we're meant to get to 13% in 2 years' time from 9.44. Again, it's going to be quite difficult, I suggest. As I say, lots is being done, clearly. And I think the D&I strategy is helping, definitely. The work that Women in Rail and other networks are doing is definitely helping, I would say. But still lots more to do. So what can and should be done? I mean, I think, as with everything, what gets measured gets done. So the fact that we are continuing to measure this and report on it is important. But out of curiosity, how many people in this room, or in this theatre I should say, knew those data points about our targets in Network Rail? A little bit, yeah. A few, yeah, maybe. Not that many. Beg your pardon, sorry. Yeah, but you didn't know what they were, yeah. Yeah. And how many of you, well, based on that, how many were likely to have known that we were, how many folks from ethnic minority backgrounds, or how many women we have in our organisation in Network Rail? You did. Amazing. Excellent. One person, that's good. But I think the point of measuring shouldn't often, unfortunately, ends up being a tick box exercise. I'm not suggesting that that's what's happening in Network Rail at all. But unfortunately, it can become quite siloed, as in so much of everything we do. This data has to be published and discussed much more routinely. We have health and safety moments at the start of each meeting. I personally think that this should and can be part of that discussion. How are we doing, each of us in our teams, in our day-to-day? Are we encouraging people? Are we really monitoring and looking at our progression and our succession planning in our teams? Okay. Attraction recruitment then. The other thing that it's really important that you can and should do is just introducing diverse interview panels. There are lots of executive sort of recruitment agencies that focus on bringing in a more diverse workforce for you to be able to interview. So just thinking about when you're trying to bring people in, are you really starting from a much more diverse pool of applicants and talent? Retention, increased flexible working opportunities. That's incredibly important. I know Network Rail has done and is doing a lot on that, but it continues to be, that's just one example. I think someone was mentioning, I was at a talk the other day talking about culture. D&I is, or EDI, depending on how you view it, is part of our culture. It has to be part of our culture. It's not an add-on. It cannot be something that we just pretend is a separate thing, and as long as there's some people focusing on it, everything will be fine. It is actually incumbent on each and every one of us to have these conversations, to really think about all of this. And then leadership. In the same way that each and every one of you, I'm sure, have either mentored, coached, supported colleagues, junior colleagues around you. It's important that people of colour, it's important that women, other people with from diverse characteristics are given the same sponsorship, the same support, to really egg them on, to promote them and support them. So these are, again, just some suggestions from the Royal Academy of Engineering D&I measures. That's a really, really good source, by the way, of measuring much more acutely at every single stage of your entire experience. So from the moment you join an organisation all the way through to when you decide to leave. And they've got some really good ways of measures of how we might do better in this space. This is just another video that we were just going to play.
My understanding of an ally is somebody from a dominant or an in-group where they choose to support people from a non-dominant or an out-group.
The process of allyship is people from non-marginalised groups using their privilege, working to support in partnership with people from marginalised groups to bring down systems of oppression.
So that individual, the ally, may not actually identify as being a part of that marginalised group, but they use their voice, their power and their privilege to stand in solidarity with them, to empower those individuals from the marginalised group to speak for themselves, to challenge issues, but also to create parity in experience.
So So now we're going to just do a couple more Slido questions. So could you go for the first one, please? So what did you find interesting or thought-provoking? This is not me just trying to get lots of really wonderful feedback so I can make myself feel better. Generally keen to get your feedback so that I understand more what more I could be doing personally, but also conversations amongst yourselves so that you can really think about what really hit you today or made an impact. Start numbers, yeah, the targets. Self-reflection, thank you. Progress is really slow. I mean, it is. I mean, it is a bit depressing to look at the numbers, but if we consider, I'm going to go backtrack now, if we consider where we were even a few years ago, the very fact there is progress is heartening. It shows that people do actually care. It shows that people are doing the work, and that's important. It really is important. How can you be an ally? Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's talk about it more. Disparity in numbers. It is relevant, absolutely. The actual figures, positive action. So how can you be an ally? I think one of the things that always strikes me is that whenever I go to any of our, whether it's my own organisation's networks, women networks or whatever, or any other networks, the number of people, whether it's women in rail, women in transport, whatever it might be, the number of just women, mostly women, attending them. And the intent of starting these resource groups and these networks in the beginning, many decades ago, not many decades ago, but a few decades ago, was to allow for people to have a safe space to talk about what was affecting them, to get the support they needed, to see role models, to give them inspiration that they could do better and more. Unfortunately, what's now happening is preaching to the converted, fair enough, thank you. Appreciate that. Unfortunately, what's now happened is that they have become a bit sidelined in the sense of it's a bit of an echo chamber. The real value of these groups should be from male colleagues, or for in the case of ethnicity sort of groups, is to have others from other backgrounds joining them, so that you can understand people's perspectives. You can have an open conversation. Being an ally doesn't mean, though, just attending a conference or a network group. It's just talking to your colleagues, just understanding with curiosity, with positive intent, and that's the key. It's the positive intention that's key. Just being curious about it and asking questions about how it feels and what you can do more to help. Shift work. Any others? No. Lack of STEM in schools. Agree. Although there is more investment in that, I think, now. Okay, I'm going to move to the next question because I'm conscious of time. What will you do more of or differently as you get back to your colleagues tomorrow and in the coming weeks and months? Appreciate that's a really open, long question, but just really keen to reflect on, or hear your reflections on what each of you can and will be doing, because that's the point of this. Yeah, active allyship, raise awareness, conversation. Excellent. Can someone please say you're going to raise this as part of one of the health and safety moments, please? Can that be a commitment that someone takes? Excellent, thank you. Excellent. Yeah, recognising the role you can play. There's actually a really, really good book. I've had the pleasure of hearing her speak twice, by Susie Levy. It's called Mind the Inclusion Gap. If you haven't read it, strongly recommend reading it. I can share details. It's really good. And like a lot of books, it breaks things down in a much more personable, easy way. It's just you just read it so easily and quickly. It's a fantastic book. Approach first rather than waiting. Yeah. Leading by example. I love that. Thank you. Improve diversity and stakeholder management and strategies. All of it. Absolutely. Continue to be ally. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Diversity is being invited to the party and then asked to dance. You work with a very diverse consultancy workforce. That's fantastic. I'm really glad to hear that. That's brilliant. Well, thank you. There are a few more people typing, so I don't want to stop, but I'm conscious of time and your trains waiting to take you home or other modes of transport. One more, and then I'll stop. Any other questions whilst we're waiting? Any other questions or feedback, reflections? Yeah, discuss with colleagues how you can attract a more, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time and your patience. Thank you for bearing with, and it was lovely to see you all today. Thank you.